Hello, crypto boys and ghouls, and welcome back to the channel, Tales from the Cryptmancer, where we feature content on play and earn games on the blockchain, such as Off the Grid. In today's video, I wanted to talk about the topic of can a game like Off the Grid save Web3 gaming and really usher in the next crypto bull run, or at least for Web3 gaming. And I think the answer might surprise you here. Well, maybe it's not so surprising because I think the answer is yes. I think the answer is yes more than no. And let me talk about the reasons why and why this game and its launch could very much be 2024's Axie moment, right? It could have just happened here with the launch of Off the Grid on PlayStation 5, on Xbox, on PC, on Epic Games, and we could be right here at the door or the precipice of a resurgence in a Web3 gaming bull run, this time brought about not by a game like Axie Infinity, which if we compare screenshots of Axie Infinity to Off the Grid would kind of be laughable, but just in 3 short years, this could be the thing that ushers in the next Web3 gaming bull run. And before we go into some of the details here, I want to talk a little bit about what's happening here, specifically on Twitch with streaming. If you look at Off the Grid right now, we have 18,600 viewers viewing people streaming Off the Grid, a Web3 game, no less, based, well, I mean, it's going to have a cryptocurrency, the Guns token, at some point here. But look at all the other Web3 gaming categories. Big Time has 77 viewers. Gods Unchained has 52 viewers. Alluvium has 23 viewers. Parallel has 31 viewers. Off the Grid has 18,600 viewers right now as a Web3 game, just crushing it. Not only that, but they've launched marketing partnerships with streamers on the mainstream side, like Ninja, I guess Dr. Disrespect, whole bunch of other streamers here. And, you know, Dr. Disrespect, I think on his stream, just the other day had over 500,000 viewers concurrently on Twitch watching him play Off the Grid, which is crazy when you start to think of the conversion rate and what that could mean to onboarding new players into the Web3 space. Now, obviously, Off the Grid is just crushing it when it comes to engagement and audience here from a Web3 perspective. If you even compare it to Web2 games here, you've got Call of Duty with 37,000, Diablo with 42,000, Fortnite with 68,000, Hearthstone with 12,000. I mean, Off the Grid is doing better than Hearthstone right now. You got League of Legends with 153,000. You got a mobile game here, Raid Shadow Legends, at 363 viewers. You got Magic the Gathering with 4,000 viewers. So it is doing better than some mainstream Web2 games right now from a Twitch viewership perspective. So Off the Grid is really making an impact. I'm just going to run in the background here one of the trailers or videos for the lore of this game in the background here, so you can kind of see this and see the quality of the game that we're talking about, not just the gameplay itself, but just the background and lore behind the game and how it's really going to be immersive and engage the audience. But, you know, what I think is happening here for us is that, well, it's obvious that Off the Grid is well funded from a development team perspective and a quality perspective. They're hitting and targeting a game genre that's certainly very popular, perhaps the most popular game genre in the extraction shooter battle royale kind of series here. And they're doing it with high quality, right? Good gameplay, different twists to the genre itself. So not just copying Call of Duty necessarily, Warzone. But what they're also doing is they're hitting this with consoles, they're hitting it with Epic Games. They're going for a mainstream audience where you don't really have to pay attention to the Web3 components or the crypto components of the game to play it and enjoy it. In fact, when you start the game, there's no wallet, there's no onboarding, there's no crypto activities involved to start playing Off the Grid. You just hop into the game and you start playing. It's only after you extract hexes and you get them in the game that if you wanted to, you know, connect a Guns wallet and be able to do stuff on chain with this, only optionally is that available to you. And this is what's interesting. It starts with the game first, making it engaging, entertaining, and catches you and loops you in. And this is where I think it's very powerful because when you think about it, uh, if let's say 500,000 viewers on Dr. Disrespect's Twitch stream are watching Off the Grid, and let's say, I don't know, half of those start to play the game, which more than likely more than half would do that. But let's say 250,000 people start to play Off the Grid based on streamers on Twitch, basically streaming this game. What if only 10% of those converted over to the crypto side of it with the guns tokens, the NFTs, the buying and selling in the marketplace, stuff like that? I think that conversion rate will be much higher than 10%, but if only 10% did that, that would be an instant 25,000 game players, like daily active users of this game, pretty much right now. And I think that number is probably low in reality here. And this could definitely go viral and go mainstream. Instead of talking about hundreds of thousands, we can talk about millions of players here. And if you start talking about conversion rates of millions of players into Web3 gaming and seeing that crypto is not bad, owning your assets in the game has benefits and it doesn't have this negative stigma to it, we could have a really surge in Web3 players here, looking at games outside of Off the Grid to understand what other games are interesting in the Web3 space besides Off the Grid, right? And this could be the onboarding moment for Web3 games in this next crypto bull run. If we go back to 2021 specifically, the altcoin season and the Web3 bull run in 2021 really happened because of the BTC surge. It had to do a lot with Bitcoin dominance and profits in Bitcoin moving into altcoins and other areas like Web3 gaming at the time. But now I think this 2024, the current time is different than 2021 because a lot of Bitcoin's profitability is going to be locked up in ETFs, which is kind of with the Wall Street bros instead of the crypto bros. And they may not be looking to take profits from, ETFs or 401ks or IRAs and reallocating those to Web3 projects, right? So the altcoin season that we have in 2024 and 2025 may be muted from Bitcoin perspective, from the Bitcoin profitability and the Bitcoin dominance perspective. But it could be a game like this game here, Off the Grid, that onboards literally millions of users into Web3. And it's the consumer users that move into Web3 here, not the crypto bros taking their profits and spreading it all around, splashing around, right? So if literally hundreds of thousands or potentially millions of gamers come into Web3 games, it's the Web3 games like Parallel. If they can launch and get a very slick mobile app, right, for their TCG game, that could be a game changer for Parallel, where you could have possibly a segment of these Off the Grid players looking at Parallel as another game that their genre that they would like to play in Web3. Illuvium, if they can nail their multi-game loop, they could see a huge increase in players in that game. Metalcore, if they can squash some of their bug lists and launch their game, a lot of Off the Grid players might be interested in a Mech Warrior type game with Web3 components. And this can really lead to some great adoption and great things in Web3 as Off the Grid players kind of expand their horizons and go into other genres of games. Now, I think at the end of the day, a Web2 gamer looking to play Web3 games is going to want to have, solid gameplay, right? So you can't just have idle clickers and nonsense like that attract these type of gamers. But I think if your game has legs and it has a good gameplay, right? It's AAA quality, like Off the Grid here, like what you're seeing with this trailer, that can really lead to adoption and bringing in people and money into your ecosystem here. So again, I really think Off the Grid has the quality of gameplay, of engagement, and of course, the marketing budget behind it to really bring in a lot of mainstream gamers, onboard them indirectly into crypto, and get people curious about crypto and Web3 gaming. So I think this is the path forward. I think now is the time perhaps to be packing your bags because, well, we could be at our Axie moment for 2024. Until next time, keep stacking those stats.
That's